Welcome. This week we're going to go over lessons 49 through 52. So last week your child was introduced to the nickel and the dime. Well, guess what? We're going to do more work with that this week. Actually, that's kind of the biggest focus this week. So let's see what materials we need so we can get started. This week you're going to need your abacus, your coins, your worksheets, tiles, the math journal. You'll need some ribbon or yarn, some string. We'll be working with ellipses and circles using this in an enrichment lesson. So it can be considered optional, but we'll talk more about that in the lesson, and then you could decide what you want to do. Tally sticks, place value cards, and scissors. Lesson 49, introducing halves and half of a set. Mouthful. In the warm-up, you'll be reviewing the coins and what the value of each coin is, but then notice the first activity in the lesson is to take more than one of those coins and find the value for those. Feel free in that activity to have your child use the abacus if they need to find the value of those multiple coins. In this lesson, there are 2 worksheets of shapes that your child is going to cut out. I've said this in previous lessons. I'm going to say it again. You might want to make a few extra copies of these worksheets just in case your child messes up in their cutting. Not just cutting around the shapes, but even when they're doing the activity of folding and then cutting in half. So on the bottom part, half of 20, it suggests that you use tiles. I'm going to throw out that this could be a fun activity to bring in some food, a treat, maybe M&Ms or something that's not like a bunch of candy or a bunch of sweets, but yet it can be fun for this activity, because what's going to happen is you're going to take the number 20, these 20 items, and then you're going to have to divide it between the 2 of you. And they have to figure it out. Don't tell them. Notice what it says in the explanations on the side. Remember that a person can only make a discovery once. So let your child struggle. You can give them some suggestions, but let them work at trying to figure out how they're going to divide whatever items you're choosing to use equally. Lesson 50, making circles and ellipses. Look at the title. It says enrichment lesson. This is the first of a few enrichment lessons you'll be encountering. Enrichment lessons are considered, or could be considered, optional. There's nothing in this enrichment lesson that is like new material, but what it is taking things that they know and it's expanding and it's bringing it into like just the real world. And it's fun. They're fun activities. This one especially. Now notice in the materials, it calls for a sandbox. That's awesome if you guys have a sandbox. We don't have a sandbox, but you could do it in the dirt. Maybe you can make other arrangements. Lots of choices here. You guys know what you have around the house, what you could work with. If you live in an area where there's snow, and it might still be a little early for some, but I know it's been snowing in some places. All that to say is that it does not have to be done in a sandbox if you don't have one. The biggest thing here is showing the circle and then showing an ellipse. Notice the pictures. On the picture of the circle, there's only one middle. There's only one point in the middle. And then the circle is the exact same distance from that point all the way around. And that's what the definition of a circle is. Look on the second page, it shows the ellipse. The ellipse does not use just one point, it actually uses 2. And that's what gives it the oval ellipse shape. So it is a fun activity, enrichment lesson. Maybe you save it for the end of the week. Some people choose to push through the regular lessons and then go back at the end of the year, maybe in the summertime, because this could be a fun activity to do in the summertime also when you're looking for something to do, is to go back and do some of the enrichment lessons then. Lots of options. You choose what works best for you and your family. Lesson 51, combining several coins. So this lesson is all about the coins, the nickel, the penny, the dime, pulling different amounts of the coins out, having the child enter into the abacus to see what the value is. Children really love to play and learn about money. So they'll probably find this a fun activity today, a fun lesson. I would like to touch on one part of finding the value of multiple coins. On the second page at the top, it talks about entering 10 and then asking the child to find a coin that will match. Hopefully they'll get a dime because they know it's worth 10. And then you can ask them, is there another way they can figure it out? You have the 2 5s, and hopefully they'll know that that's for 2 nickels. And then we have individual beads. And if you need to, you might have to separate them a little bit depending on your child. And hopefully they'll think about a penny. So there's 10 pennies, 2 nickels, and 1 dime for this amount. So the activity where you read a story problem and you have to make 15 cents and do it a variety of ways. It talks about entering 15 into the abacus. Then make sure you have coins available. Make sure you have enough dimes and pennies and nickels available so that they can play around with it. They can see on the abacus, again, you know, there's 10 and 5, so they'll hopefully know that that's a nickel and a dime. And that's where the previous, this is where that previous activity came in handy, where they looked at 10 and saw that it was a dime or 2 nickels or 10 pennies, because now they're going to take that knowledge or that concept that they've learned into this next section, and then they're going to come and find different ways to make 15 cents. And again, the last activity is fun also, where you're working with coins, but this time you're going to figure out what are the least amount of coins you need to make an amount. These activities should be enjoyable for your children because, like I said, children just love to play with money, especially if you're using real coins, which I hope you're able to do. I know Right Start provides the plastic coins, which are nice, but if you can use those real coins, it's even better. Last lesson for this week, lesson 52, grouping by 5s. Worksheet 14 is about writing the numbers. So again, you may want to make extra copies of this worksheet so that way your child will have extra practice sheets that they can use. So this first activity is pretty self-explanatory. You can see the picture. You're giving your child a large group of tiles, anywhere between 50 and 100. They will put them into groups of 5, and then they're going to enter that many groups onto the abacus so they can figure out how many tiles they have all together. And then when that's finished, they'll just grab more handfuls and do it again. And then we end the lesson working with coins again. So that will be a fun one. We have finished another week. Lots of working with those coins. It should be a good week. Like I said, children really like to work with money. So give them opportunity, lots of opportunity to work with their money. Remember that you can contact me at debbie@rightstartmath.com. I'd love to hear from you. I've heard from some of you already. It's so encouraging. It encourages me to know that these videos are encouraging you. And it gives me kind of faces to see as I'm talking, to know that there's real people watching. I appreciate it. I appreciate your letting me know that you are finding value in these. I enjoy doing these, even though it's a little bit out of my comfort zone. I just know I would have really appreciated having something like this when I first started Right Start many, many years ago. So join me next week as we go over lessons 53 through 58. Until then.